7th anniversary annual meeting and luncheon of Control Growth Now. So we appreciate you being with us. And I know that one reason that we have a crowd which is sold out, full house, capacity attendance. I got that from AI. I think that's good synonyms. Is because a lot of you are here, most of you are here, I think, to respect and honor and celebrate and hear from our Citizens of the Year. We do this every year. We actually have a picnic and what it would be, the odd numbered years and the even numbered years a luncheon. And award a Citizen of the Year to people that we find have gone above and beyond in providing civic service to their community, advocating for truth and justice, sometimes against very difficult odds, and often with extraordinary success. So I'll be introducing them later and hearing a great presentation that they have planned for us. But at the risk of spoiling the surprise, I would just want to recognize, have them stand so you can recognize them too, just initially. They are our Citizens of the Year, Kelly Franklin and Ron Cash. Super team. I won't impose on you too much introductory comments because we do have a full program. We've got a great group of candidates and including some incumbents, and we're so pleased that they're with us, and I want to turn the mic over to them. Let them share with you their advocacy for being foolish enough to run again for public office, and suffer the slings and arrows that are associated with even the campaign, much less the service thereafter. So, but with that caveat, I think, we've been doing this, like I said, for 37 years, and there's been an ebb and flow of, at least in my perception, the interest of people to be involved in their community. And it just seems to me now, at pretty much almost exactly the 6th anniversary of the start of COVID, when everybody was forced, sometimes by mandates that were controversial, and otherwise to turn in, separate from everybody else, that there, is at this time, I think, sort of a resurgence of the civic spirit among people. Maybe it's because we're being inundated with so much information. I mentioned AI now, and scrolling on all sorts of platforms and so forth, and it's just so overwhelming that we really enjoy the opportunity to physically meet with people like this, or to go to public meetings and share our advocacy of our view of what's right and what's wrong. And I think people are coming out of their shells now and enjoying that opportunity to be with other people. So thank you for taking advantage of that opportunity here with us today at this luncheon. Some of you may not know what Control Growth Now is all about. We like to be positive, so we say control growth now. But in a sense, it's the flip of what we're against, which is uncontrolled growth. And they talk nowadays in politics about 80% issues, issues that maybe 80% of the public can agree upon. And one extraordinary thing about our organization, and I don't know of any others that do it to this extent, some of the neighborhood groups and so forth, of course, but which bring together people across the ordinary political spectrum. I mean, we have people in this room ranging from Ronna Mazzini, a very committed progressive, to Martin Hyde. Martin, where are you? Behind the pillar. You usually don't hide. But let's give a round of applause to Martin for his advocacy. I just love hearing him speak at City and County Commission meetings. Thank you for that advocacy work. But we all try to do our part and to make it a better community. I mean, I often say I'm a refugee from Fort Lauderdale. Moved here in the mid-'80s because that's not the kind of place I wanted to grow up in and build a family. I think that is a story that resonates with everybody here. And who was born here in Sarasota, Manatee counties? Valerie Bashaw. Good for you. But we, almost all of us come from a different place because this is a better place than we were, usually for that reason. Sometimes family ties and other reasons together with that, but invariably that. So what we're committed to as an organization, and we thank you to the extent you are supporting us in that, and we welcome your membership, by the way, on our website, controlgrowthnow.org. Don't believe it that I sent you an email that said .com. We lost that a few years ago. Controlgrowthnow.org, and we stand simply for the proposition that our elected officials should act on behalf of their constituents, not their big contributors. That on the issues that affect us so much in our daily lives, it shouldn't be a matter of saying, well, what's Pat Deal going to think about this, or Carlos Roof, or Randy Benison, or somebody else that might be pretty generous campaign time, but how's it going to affect the people that I represent? And on issues like the environment, we believe developers should be required to build around the environment, not pave it over to the full extent possible. We believe that growth should pay its own way through maximum impact fees on developers rather than putting the cost of growth on the backs of the taxpaying public. We believe in respecting the integrity of neighborhoods. We don't think NIMBY is an evil epithet, and recognize that what is a more legitimate imperative than people caring about what goes on in their very backyards. We believe in having government respect our mobility in all its forms, including automotive transportation, that while walking and biking, and we have one of the premier advocates for that on our board with Mike Lachey, should be promoted and respected. Most trips can't be done on foot or by bike or by bus. So we don't want to be caught in intolerable gridlock. And uncontrolled development gives us exactly that. And there's other issues that go with that, but it all comes down to respecting the taxpayer, respecting the citizen, respecting the public, and respecting the need for integrity in public office. So you're about to hear from some candidates sharing with you why they believe they're the candidate that pledges to bring integrity to this race, often with acknowledgement of the merits of their opponents as well, but why they're the better choice. So let me turn to that, and then we'll come back. I want to recognize our directors, and we go to the formality of a re-election, although if there's a revolution, a takeover by dissident people for the board, I welcome that, but we have some other business. But I promised we'd start around 12:30. So with that, let's move into hearing from our candidates for public office. I am so happy that we have responses from at least some candidates, and each of the races you're going to be hearing from state senate, county commission, at least one of the two seats that are up, and the city commissions, or in the case of Venice, the council for cities of Sarasota, Venice, and Northport. So with that, let's get started. And I'd like to introduce to you a candidate for state senate. It's in the Republican primary. There are two candidates that are seeking your vote in state senate, a district that takes in a good part of Sarasota County. The whole county?
And plus the bottom part of Manatee.
And the bottom part of Manatee. And that's that. So there are two candidates. James Buchanan, who is now a state representative, is running for state senate this time in the primary in August, as I understand it. And of course, state legislation on growth management issues and preemption and so forth has been something that has increasingly drawn our attention as an organization, and perhaps he will speak a little bit to that. But pleased that we do have with us, and Mr. Buchanan did send his regrets. He, as with a lot of other people, he wasn't able to make it. If you didn't notice, this is a beautiful day. People did during spring break and the day after the first day of spring, make some other plans and couldn't be with us. So we got a lot of regrets from candidates and from individuals who like to be here to celebrate our Citizens of the Year. But we're very pleased that we do have the other candidate, one of the two, running for state senate. And he tells me that I've been getting it wrong all these years, the H in his last name is silent. But he's certainly not silent. I've known this for many years, and we're glad he's running for office. Victor Rowe.
Okay, so if I don't hold the mic close enough,
Yes.
Just go like that and I'll bring it closer. All right, so even though I've been a countywide elected official better than 3 years, probably, I'm guessing, most of you probably don't even know who I am. All right, so normally I like to start out with issues, but in this case, I need to really just introduce myself. My name is Vic Rowe. This is my 30th year in Sarasota County. Now, I've been active in politics since about 2008. I never want to get involved in politics. I felt it's a dirty business, but then I said, well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Someone worse than me. So, in the 2022 election, I was elected to the Sarasota County Hospital Board with 2 other health freedom candidates. I was a health freedom candidate. And I would say, basically, it took about 6 months for one of them to roll over to the establishment, and the other one took them about 1.5 years. So I'm really the last health freedom candidate on the hospital board. Now, let me give you an example. During that election, it was said that there were some people that wanted to privatize the hospital. And that in fact happened in Lee County. And it was much more serious now than you would imagine. But we all said, no, we didn't want to privatize the hospital. It's a great public hospital system. Why would we want to do that? So when I was on the board, I made a motion to require a unanimous vote of the board in order to privatize it. I couldn't even get it discussed. No one would even discuss it. I couldn't get someone to second it and bring it up for discussion. Down in Lee County, where they did privatize, I was just at an event in January where I spoke to some board members down there, and they said they were very concerned that within about 5 years, that system may be sold to HCA. Now, their system is larger than our system. It's about, their annual budget's about $3 billion, ours is $2 billion. So just if you're not familiar with the way county government works, the county commission budget is about $2.5 billion. The hospital budget is about $2 billion, and the school district budget is about $1.5 billion. So it's basically this, the money is, the budgets, if you look at the budgets, it's like a third, and a third. And I think the hospital will probably pass the county budget by about 2030, 2031, when the Northport Hospital opens. So it's a big deal. Now I won, I beat the incumbent, a medical doctor, when I ran for hospital board. I beat him in the primary, and then in the general election, I was elected with 71% plus of the vote. So there are those people who think that my opponent has already bought the seat, that he has so much money that I don't have a shot. But over the last 10 or so years, I have tried to perfect methods and teach candidates how to run as a grassroots candidate and win against the establishment. Now, there's 3 issues that I'm running on. One is no new constitutional convention at the federal level. One is health freedom, and the other is local control, right? As you know, you saw SB 180. They want to take power away from the county commissions and centralize them basically in the executive branch in Tallahassee. That's outrageous. They basically want to take your vote away. Some of the I just want to see by a raise of hands, how many people looked at HR 245 in this last session? 1, 2. What did you think of it? There's 2 ladies over here right in the line. You looked at it. What do you think of the legislation?
I said an expletive.
An expletive.
Oh, understood. I'm gonna feel the same way. There's an effort to take away your freedom to make your decision locally. And Dan's getting up, he's telling me I gotta shut up. I left some material over here, and it'll take you to where you can get more information. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Rick Rose, State Senate. We now move into Sarasota County Commission. There's 2 seats up as a result of an effort that we had a big role in a number of years ago. We had single-member district elections for County Commission in Sarasota County, which has the purpose of reducing the cost of campaigning by 80%, so that you can run a viable campaign without quite as much money from the big development interests. So we do have 2 seats that are up. Seat number 1, district number 1, Mark Smith is running for re-election, and he does have an opponent. Unfortunately, neither was able to make it with us today. But your seat is,
I think they're District 2, and I'm 4.
that's 2.
Yes.
But we do have the 2 candidates in the Republican primary so far for District 4, which would be the mid-county area, pretty much mid to south. And starting with the incumbent, a current county commissioner, member of the Board of County Commissioners. We're particularly pleased you found time in your busy schedule to be with us. And let me tell you too that Joe indicated to me he may be bringing his 2 small children, and would that be okay? And actually, I find they're at a pool party that you need to get back to. And I was going to be concerned because they're probably very well behaved. And some of you are old enough and been with us long enough to remember my 2 children when they were very young. They're now in their 20s now, in college and starting their career. And my son Jack one time grabbed the microphone when I wasn't looking and started singing. And one of our members shouted out, "How can you control growth when you can't even control your own children?" I probably related that from time to time. But we're pleased to have with us the incumbent in this seat for Board of County Commissioners, Sarasota County, a doctor, chiropractic doctor. And he'll tell you a little bit more about himself and where he stands. Please welcome to the microphone Dr. Joe Wender.
Are we on? Are we live, or should I just use my what is it called? Projection. Does this work? All right. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. And before I get going, Kelly and Ron, congratulations on the honor. It speaks volumes to the work that you do in our homes. Sarasota County is all of our homes. So big congratulations to both of you, well deserved, and thank you for all your hard work that you do in your areas. So ladies and gentlemen, I will keep my comments brief because as Dan said, I do have a pool party, and there's not 2, we have 6 or 7 and growing. So
Wow.
it's catching and it's spreading like wildfire in our community. But I am Joe Nunder. I am your current District 4 County Commissioner. The boundaries are from Laurel Road up through Clark Road, east and west. Quick bio about myself. I am originally from Buffalo, New York. I moved down into Sarasota County as a young man so that I could attend Pineview and swim competitively. After graduation, I went off into the world and I did achieve my doctorate in chiropractic medicine. I am a private solo practitioner. I've been doing so for almost 16 years now. And up until about 6 months ago, my practice was literally just down the road. And now I am comfortably back in the city limits of Venice, where I currently reside, and we love it very much. My wife, Cindy, is a teacher. We have been together for almost 20 years as of last week. She is our angel. She's a teacher by trade. And we have 3 beautiful children, Joey, Michael, and Ethan, who are a senior, an 8th grader, and a 5th grader this year. Truly, they are the reason that I get up in the morning and I do everything in my life. I think it's important to know that as far as what I've done as either a planning commissioner way back in the day, as a city councilman prior to being a commissioner today, my platform really hasn't changed all that much. I remember getting out into the city limits, and what we use is smart, manageable growth, right? You have to make sure aesthetics are good, and we have to be hyper aware currently, especially after 2024 and the 3 hurricanes, stormwater, right? We're all hyper aware of stormwater, and for those of you that live in the city of Sarasota, you know that our board has been hyper aware and doing anything and everything we can with that $200 million of HUD money 2 times over to make sure that we're doing the right thing. As far as the platform, ladies and gentlemen, hasn't changed over the years. It's fiscal responsibility, it's health safety of our environment and water. It's something that I feel very passionate about. It's always supporting our public safety, law enforcement, fire, EMS, first responders. And I think what's also important is that you should know in the last, this is my 4th year, over the years, I'll just go annually of the accomplishments that I'm proud of, and then I'll get out of your hair. So year 1, how many people in this room are familiar with Midnight Pass? You guys know what Midnight Pass is? Well, first year election, and Dan, I just wanted to say this. I think we may have some controlled growth initial pamphlets that you guys at my house, because I think my parents have been members of your organization for decades. So they've certainly evolved over the years, I will say that, kudos. But year 1 was Midnight Pass, that was my #1 initiative. And of course, my 3rd year, we had the trifecta of hurricanes, and Milton's opened that. But I'm proud to say today that our board, through our county administrator, did send a letter to the DEP signifying that in perpetuity, Midnight Pass is an open waterway system for the health, environmental wellness of the bay, and that will be there in perpetuity, and Sarasota County government will do whatever it takes to make sure that that waterway continues to stay open. Yes, sir. Very good. That's a good one. That's a good one. Year 2, you guys are familiar with millage rates, right? You know what those are, right? Year 2, we did a millage rate reduction, decreasing your property taxes on the value of your home. That's very important in today's economy. Every dollar counts. I certainly understand that, having 3 boys. It's important that we cut coupons, we get the BOGOs, and the Val pack at my house is not to be touched until Dad owns it. We have to do that. Year 3, that was the year that I was selected to be chairman of our board, and I'm proud to say that year 3, we ultimately took a very, very close look at our stormwater system here in Sarasota County, which is Northport to the airport. And we took our stormwater division outside of the county engineer's purview. We made it its own department. We funded it very well with your tax dollars and some HUD money. We have our own stormwater director, and I know that we have some city commissioners here today. I think it's working very well. Ben Quartermain is his name. I penned a letter back in 2 minutes, 1 minute. In March, penned a letter. It wasn't a Joe Nutter original. They were the relationships that I had over 37 years in this community. Ultimately, a good majority of that letter was adopted in August. Here we are today. Year 4, this is campaign. A couple of big things. Advocated, pushed for 2 really important things. Made the motion, got a couple to go with me. In today's budget, we asked our county administrator to come back in real time with our current budget and $5 million in cuts. I'm happy to report he did 5.7. Also made the motion for Gulfgate. If you're familiar with Gulfgate Properties, there's a developer that owns it. We're engaged in conversations now to purchase it, stormwater retrofit, environmental protection. Last and certainly, I guess not least, We are hyper-focused on our traffic network. I don't know how many of you it took to get here today, but from Venice it took me about 30 minutes to get on a Saturday. Our board is hyper-aware. I'm hyper-aware. My name is Joe Nunder. I'm running for Sarasota County Commissioner, District 4. God bless and be well.
So now he knows how it feels for Martin Hyde when he has to fit his comments within 3 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever it might be at the county commission. To the speakers, I know some of you have a lot to share, particularly incumbents and so forth, or maybe some challengers that have been working on a platform for a while. We'll try to give comparable time to the other candidate for this field, but for other candidates, please do try to keep it within the 3 minutes that we've indicated. That we have a full program. Next, here's my candidate list. Well, I know. The other candidate, and again, it's in the Republican primary. I know the Democrats in the room regret the fact, but it is a fact that other than the District 2 seat, I remember now, for County Commission, Mark Smith's reelection, it tends to be decided in the Republican primary for partisan races, at least such as County Commission. But there is no Democrat that has filed for this seat that I'm aware of. So it may come down to the two candidates you're hearing today. So maybe this will help you make up your mind, but the campaign's just starting. So keep aware of the candidates, the issues, where they stand on things. But let me call up, speak 5 minutes if you need it. Another candidate for the County Commission, I'll let you introduce yourself, Jim De Niro.
And I'll stick to the 3 minutes because with respect to everybody's time here, there's a lot more important things also to talk about, but I do have some important things to say. You can't hear me? How about now? Good, okay. Right here? Okay, my apologies. I'll try and stick to the 3 minutes of time, but thank you for offering, David. Thank you for inviting me tonight, or this afternoon, and allowing me to be here to speak, to introduce myself. My name is Jim De Niro, and I'm running for Sarasota County Commission, District 4. To give you a little background about me, I've been a resident of Sarasota County for 45 years. I am married to my wife, Erin, for 28 years. We have 2 children that we've raised here. Our daughter, who is an emergency room nurse, has her bachelor's degree in nursing. She's at the emergency room at Sarasota Memorial Hospital on Laurel Road. Our son, who graduated Venice High School just a few years ago, is working on his commercial pilot's rating over at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. So we're very proud of our kids. They rode with Sarasota Crew for 10 years. I was involved in the program. I was the treasurer of the board of directors, which is one of the largest youth rowing organizations in the country. It's also run by our head Olympic coach for the United States rowing team. So I'm very proud to be a part of that organization for that many years and feeding 200 kids every weekend who were very, very hungry, to row thousands and thousands of meters every week. It was crazy. But why am I running for county commission? I'm running because I believe that leadership is about service, not politics. For 30 years, I served as a Sarasota police officer from 1985 to 2015. I moved through the ranks. I started as a rookie, worked in tough neighborhoods, worked night shift, did it all. I went through all of the specialty units. I was a detective, undercover work. I did all the fun stuff. It was a lot of fun. I got promoted. I ended up running all those high liability specialty units, the traffic and marine patrol unit, undercover units, search and water undercover recovery teams. So I understand that aspect from a law enforcement, but what did that do? It gave me a lot of exposure to federal government, local, city governments. So you work within budgets, you have to do more with less during certain times. We all go through that when we go through hard times. We have to figure out how not to compromise safety and quality of life issues. Meeting with communities, dealing with a lot of the issues within the communities, that's what you do. In law enforcement, you don't have the choice of showing up to a problem. You show up to the problem, you figure out a solution, you listen to people, and you protect the quality of life and you protect the community. And that's what I've done for 30 years for the city of Sarasota. Well, after I retired in 2015, I was in the private sector doing real estate and finance. So a little bit of a business acumen, but what I understand on that side of it is I understand the total cost of things. I know what families are dealing with the economy issues, with the price of gas, with the price of food, with the price of housing. So we all get it. But at the end of the day, our other problem is we're lacking in infrastructure, we're development. I've been here 45 years, so I know what it used to be like when there was no I-75 and 41 was the only way. And Midnight Pass was open back then, when it closed, okay? But Moses just opened it, I just heard for the third time. So, and I have to do that because I'm just blown away because I keep hearing it being fed back to me. But at the same time, you see all this change and you see all these important things that the can has been kicked down the road on a lot of these important projects like water mitigation. The roads, for example, Honore Avenue is a 4-lane road, but for the last 2 decades from Central Sarasota Parkway South, it's all in, it's ready to go, but it needs to be updated. But why not? Why aren't these roads just like that road and the other ones to take these pressures off of everybody that's dealing with this traffic every day? We all have our phones, right? When 75 is shut down, everybody's getting the same directions from Google and Apple and everybody else to get off and get on the same road, and you're still in gridlock. It's just a crazy time we're all living in. We've all seen this change. Whether you've been here 45 years, whether you've born and raised here, whether you came here 5 years ago, you've seen the change. So from my background, I've always had a problem-solving, proactive policy to everything I've ever done. And I'm not afraid to push back and ask tough questions. That's why I'm here. I've been wanting to do this for 8 years, but being on call, being away for the kids' parties, missing everything, quite frankly, it's time to get back to my life and my kids' life. So I took a little bit of time off. I did serve on 2 county commission advisory boards, Traffic Advisory Board and SLOC, Environmental Sensitive Land Oversight Committee, but I'll wrap it up. One more second. But what I'm asking for, if you're in my district in District 4, and thanks for Joe to tell you where it's at, Laurel to Clark, east and west, basically that's it all the way down to Nokomis Beach. But I would want your vote, but I also want your partnership to believe in me that I'm the guy that's gonna get you to the better level and keep this place a better place, quality of life to retire, work, and live. Thank you very much. And I'll get into more questions around.
And Jim, you left some materials on the front.
I have a microphone, I won't go down there. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move into the next one, you might expect, because of our honorees today, there are a number of people that are pretty prominent in advocacy and politics and so forth within the city of Sarasota and beyond. And I'm not going to undertake to introduce you because I'll forget somebody, and that's worse. But one of them was very clever in dropping her name tag, so I have to call upon her to come get it. Very active in Democratic Party politics and campaigns and so forth in the city of Sarasota, Virginia, Hoffman, Micketon, Virginia.
Oh, I'm not running for anything.
I know you're not. You're running up here to get your name tag.
But you should be.
One person I do want to recognize, though, and I think she's competing with me for our oldest member. Will be 75 in 3 weeks. So, but at the age of 93, still active, one of our longtime maybe charter members, and at the age of 81, actually walked from Sarasota to Tallahassee in a campaign for election reform, which she tells me has definitely slid backwards in those years, and promises she's not going to do that again. But we're happy to have with us. I was glad to see that she registered and is doing well as ever. Ronna Bazzini. And thanks to all of you unrecognized people that are here. We now move into Sarasota City Commission. Now this is a nonpartisan race, obviously limited to Sarasota City voters, but it's the at-large seat. And I know it well because I ran for it 3.5 years ago. And even though it's nonpartisan, everybody gets to run. Sometimes the political parties get involved, and being a registered Republican, some of you may not know that, I faced a very active Democratic machine in a turnout vote drive at the end and lost by 800 votes, and I am so glad that happened. I would not have had the time for it. I don't know how, frankly, the people that get elected to office and serve have the time for it, with all their other things in their busy lives. But we do have 3 of the 4 announced candidates so far for the at-large seat. Now, the first person I want to call up is a candidate, but she's not here as a candidate, it has been explained to me, due to certain constraints that are there with the city. But we're pleased to have her as a city commissioner of the city of Sarasota, former vice mayor, former mayor. Say a few words to you. Keep in mind she is running for re-election. What it is you get to vote, if you're a city voter in Sarasota, for the top two. And then the top three go to a runoff, I think invariably. And so she's offering her services again. And maybe I'm not supposed to say that, but so people know. But would you please welcome Sarasota City Commissioner Jennifer Ahern.
Thank you, Dan. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
So, I'm Jen Ahern Koch, and I'm currently serving as your Sarasota City Commissioner at large. And first and foremost, I did want to congratulate Ron and Kelly on this honor. Ron and Kelly bring a number of issues to our commission that we must address. They do the research, they do the work, they provide the materials, the background, and compromises, ways to settle things, ways to work things out. It's not just fight this, say no to that. They offer solutions. Currently, I'm working in lockstep with Ron, and I'm sure Kelly as well, on U.S. recycling. I don't know if any of you have heard about that huge issue in the city of Sarasota, and it's also in the county as well, just north of Myrtle, right across the street from Booker High School. There's a concrete crushing plant there, and they've been doing it since 2012 in both locations for a very long time. And you know, I've been working on this since 2020. Almost not. I mean, we've done a lot of things, but we've not moved the needle. Now we're moving the needle, and it's really a lot of it has to do with these two who are really researching this and coming up with solutions. So I could give you 1,000 more examples of the work that these two have put in, and I really thank them dearly for everything they do. And they care about this community, they care about this city. And so I am here to honor these two citizens, my constituents that are here today. I did want to do a shout out to Susan Chapman, former city
Susan,
commissioner. And I know a lot of you here are very active in the city, but I started out, in my neighborhood. There was a really impactful development on the edge of my neighborhood. And I had no intention of getting involved in city government. And then this started to happen. So I had to figure it out. And I would read the zoning code and the comp plan, and we would fight it, and we would win, and then they would come back with another proposal, fight it and win. And this went on for 8 years. And eventually they won. And then the owners of the property said, we don't want to fight you anymore. Here's what we want to do. What do you think? And we worked it out, and that is the strand that is on the North Trail today. So it is true. You can work together. You can find a solution for all kinds of development, and that was reasonable development in the city of Sarasota. But when I kept going before the city commission and kept doing all of these things and being very involved, Susan Chapman was the one who said to me, you need to run for commission. That's what you need to do. If you want to really be impactful, that's what you do. So I want to thank Flo, who's also thrown her hat in the ring, and John, who's thrown his hat in the ring, because it's not easy to be a candidate. And to the rest of the candidates here for county and for state and for other offices, listen to them and talk to them. Give them your thoughts and your ideas, because it's really important that you communicate with your elected officials. And I want to thank them for really putting in the work and putting in the hours in this race. But Susan is the reason that I ran, and she's the one that encouraged me to do it, and she's also the one that said, you should run for city commission, and your slogan is vote for Jen. So I have Susan for that. But I did want to say one thing that is pertinent to this group here. Rachel just reminded me, she's a candidate and a current city commissioner in Venice, that we as elected officials are involved in a group, Florida League of Cities, and it's 410 cities throughout the state of Florida. And we get together to advocate for cities, to stop the state from preempting us. And this group, Control Growth Now, is about control growth. But we can't do anything if the state keeps preempting us. So that's where you really need to be active as well, not only in your local government, which impacts you the most, but also at the state level. They have to stop preempting counties and cities from doing our job and from serving you. I was awarded 7 consecutive years the Home Rule Hero by the Florida League of Cities. It's an honor, and I'm honored to do it because I'm very active in Tallahassee, but you all need to be active as well. Talk to your candidates, talk to your state representatives, tell them to stop preempting us. Live Local preempted us from all kinds of activities. SB 180, which was mentioned earlier, we can't move. We cannot do anything with SB 180. So I could probably go on for a very long time, Dan. I apologize. But I did want to once again thank you all for being here. I know you are all active. Try to get your neighbors and your friends to be active as well. Jen Ahern Koch, and I am running for re-election, so I can say that. I'm happy to say that. But more than anything, I wanted to congratulate Kelly and Ron and thank them for everything they do for the city of Sarasota.
Thank you, Jen. And I was going to recognize Susan Chapman, but she's situated herself behind a pole apparently, and
I'm hiding.
you're hiding. And you changed your hair color. It looks beautiful. But a former Sarasota City Commissioner, Susan Chapman. We're very, very pleased you're able to make it. So now we move into the next candidate. Again, we've got 3 of the 4. We did not get any response at all from the 4th candidate, being apparently supported by a lot of the establishment developer type interests. I think I can say that since he's not here. Maybe that's why we're there. I don't know. Rob Rubner Connected or something. I don't know how you pronounce that. I apologize. But the other 2 candidates are here, and we're looking forward to hearing from them. Both here with their beautiful spouses. And let me introduce first one candidate's spouse, Flo's spouse, Rob Grant, who is a leader in his own merit, very active in the community as well. Ran for city commission himself at one point, and did well, but you're probably glad you fell short as well. And his spouse, a candidate for city commission, pleased to bring up to share her vision for the future of the city of Sarasota, Flo Entler.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Dan, for having us. Congratulations to Ron and Kelly. My name is Flo Entler. I'm going to try and stay to the 3 minutes, so I'm going to curtail my speech. I moved to Sarasota when I was 25 years old, and I've lived in our beautiful city for 37 years. I've proudly dedicated countless hours to my neighborhood and our community. I'm the president of the Arlington Park neighborhood, and because I'm running, I had to resign as the second vice president of the Coalition of City Neighborhood Associations, CCNA. For over a decade, I've been showing up at City Hall, speaking at commission meetings, planning board meetings, parks and recs, historic preservation, and arts committee, to name a few. Going to bat on local issues such as flooding, traffic, noise, safety, affordability, parks, and construction. The everyday issues that affect our quality of life. One of the biggest fights we had in my neighborhood was Bay Vista Apartments. And we weren't saying no, we were trying to control it. The future land use map was for 25 units per acre, and the developer wanted 50 units per acre. And unfortunately, we lost that fight. But for me, it's about responsible growth. It's about making sure we're taking care of our infrastructure, quality of life issues, and compatibility. I'm a distance runner, and my campaign is based on running a lap. Livability, accountability, and public good. Livability meaning asking every single time, does this make our neighborhood safer, greener, more walkable, more affordable? Accountability for no rubber stamps, for no decisions made out of public view, and for fiscal responsibility. And public good to ensure that city policies put residents first and not special interests. My promise is simple. I will stand against anything that makes traffic, noise, flooding, affordability, and safety worse. And I will champion anything that truly improves our housing, our infrastructure, and our neighborhood character. And I did forget one thing, I did have a little win along the way. Recently, I saved a 230-year-old grand oak tree from the developer's axe in my neighborhood. The tree we nicknamed Pink Floyd still stands tall today. We named it Pink Floyd because it lives on Floyd Street and had the thread of a developer's pink ribbon. So there was a little win there with the help of city staff, neighbors, and Commissioner Jen was on that journey with us. The tree still stands tall today. And I tell that story because that experience showed me when we work together, we can keep what matters even as we grow. My campaign is grassroots, and I'd be honored to have your support. I'm running because I care deeply about our community, our neighborhoods, and our shared home. And I truly believe Sarasota must be livable for everyone, longtime residents, young families, renters, and small business owners. Oh, sorry. If you visit my website, voteforflow.org, you can find 25 plus of my 50 plus speeches I've done at City Hall, so you can see what I stand for. I've been walking the walk, and I'm ready to be your commissioner, give you a voice and a vote at the table. Thank you very much for your time.
Only 32 seconds over, Barry. And John, you'll have that too. So again, there's 4 candidates running. There'll be a runoff among the top 3, and it's citywide at large. So one of the other candidates, a top candidate for this race, is not new to Sarasota or knowledge of what goes on, and he certainly has some perspective to share with you and some reasons why you should consider him. He is here with his beautiful wife, Virginia, and we had a good conversation, man, when you sitting right here. So let me bring up, share with you why, if you're in the city of Sarasota, you should vote for him, John Harshman.
Thank you, Dan, and congratulations you two for your award today.
Close to your mouth.
My name's John Harshman. 52 years ago, when I was 18, I hitchhiked into Sarasota with $20 in my pocket. Immediately fell in love with Sarasota. I put myself through USF, found real estate in the early 1980s, and started my own commercial real estate company, Harshman & Company, in 1989. All the way along, I realized that if you were going to be part of a community, you had to give back. I dedicated myself to numerous different not-for-profit boards and city advisory boards, including Girls Incorporated, the Ballet, the Pine Saint of Sarasota, the CRA Advisory Board, and the Environmentally Sensitive Lands Program, which my early support of that almost kicked me out of the chamber. That's supposed to be funny, guys. So I am now retired. I retired in November, and my wife and I started talking about possibly running for city commission. And we decided that if I was going to make a good decision to run for city commission, I needed to go on a 45-day listening tour and talk to many people around the city of Sarasota to get their diverse perspectives on the city. Interestingly enough, there were 3 top issues that kept coming up in all of our conversations. 1 was lack of leadership at the city commission. 2 was the city is not clean and safe. And 3, development. So let's talk about development. Okay? Who in this room is happy with the way the city has been developed over the past 10 years? Right? No, scratch your ear. Nobody is. And you know what? I agree with you 110%. and most of Sarasota does. So we can agree that we're in a mess. So how did we get here and how do we get out of it? About in the early 2000s, 2002, the city hired Andres Guani to redo the downtown master plan. And then, based on that master plan, one city employee wrote the zoning code with minimal community input. That code was implemented. I was part of a group that challenged the downtown master plan at that time. We needed to slow it down and stop it for a little while to understand what it was. We were taking 17 zonings, turning it into 4, using a whole different set of language and terms. We didn't know what it was going to do to our city, so we wanted to slow it down. The city commission at that time wanted to move it ahead quickly, so we agreed to settle based on a couple conditions, one of which was that we wanted the city to do 3 case studies of random sites downtown, and so that we could see the worst case scenario or the most intensive development that occurred on those sites. The city never did those. Had they done those, they might have realized that allowing the buildings to go right up to the front property line on US 41 is not a good idea. They also might have realized that the loopholes in the code allowed the developer of the Obsidian to start processing his plans. We would have removed those had we possibly done that. So we can agree that we're in a mess, and so how do we get out of it? First of all, we need to get people on the city commission that understand development. The city commission doesn't understand development, nor the code, but you know who does? The developers. The developers understand the code. They are from Atlanta, New York, LA, all the big cities now. It's not your mom and pop developers. They're well-funded. They are very smart. They're very clever. They're patient, and they have an army of attorneys. So how can we in Sarasota protect ourselves from bad development? I'm wrapping up real quick. So this is important because we really do need to protect ourselves, and that's what we're all here for, right? We're looking to how to. So we need to get people on the commission that understand development and understand the zoning codes and the future land use. My 45 years in commercial real estate, I live those codes. I base the value of my client's property on those codes. I live them, I understand the development process, and if we're serious about wanting to control bad development, then we'll elect people that understand the process, and I'm John Harshman, and I would really appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right, moving south to the city of Venice. So, we're fortunate to have good people stand up and offer themselves for public service. There certainly are some choices that we all will have. Next in the city of Venice, there are several seats up for election. And is it a citywide vote? Citywide vote for each of these seats. So if you live in the city of Venice, you'll have an opportunity to vote for or against each of the candidates. So in seat 6, we have an incumbent. Very pleased to have a sitting city commissioner, a city council member in the city of Venice with us, who is running for re-election, Rachel Frank.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rachel Frank, and I'm running for re-election for the Venice City Council because it's my hometown, and I'm quite protective of my hometown. I had the privilege of going to Laurel Nokomis Middle School and Venice High School, and then going off to college in Tennessee. My husband and I were living in Memphis at the time, and we were ready to start our family. And we knew there was no better place than Venice, Florida, to raise our young kids. So we moved back to Venice. We're the proud parents of 4 little kids. And it is truly an honor to protect Venice. It's not only the city that I grew up in, but it's the city that they're going to have their childhood and grow up in. When I was a young kid, I used to bike or scooter down Laurel Road to attend Laurel Nokomis Middle School. But now, unfortunately, there's no way I would allow my kids to bike or scooter down Laurel Road to attend school. It's just not safe. There's too much traffic. There's too much development in that area currently that I would not feel comfortable letting them bike down Laurel Road. In the last 6 months, there was a rezone that came before us on the Venice City Council. And the rezone request was for a car wash. And we've heard over and over and over again from our residents, no more storage units, no more car washes, we have enough of those. And so I voted against the car wash because it was located directly across from the only entrance to Laurel Nokomis Middle School. So I promise you, if you elect me to continue in my role as a Venice City Council member, I will continue to protect my hometown, and I will continue to protect the town that my kids are going to grow up in. And I really appreciate your support. Again, Rachel Frank for Venice City Council. Thank you.
Next, is Susan Perry here? Indicated that she'd be here to speak, and I didn't think she had signed up. So that, unless I'm missing somebody, we'll cover our Venice City Council candidates, right? Don't want to miss anybody. Okay, good. So that's nonpartisan race. So everybody in the city of Venice gets to vote for Rachel. Or against her, you know what. So moving to Northport, we have two candidates for Northport City Commission. Again, one of you correct me, it is also citywide and nonpartisan. If you live in Northport, we have several people here, including 3 of our 7 board members in Control Growth Now that are Northport citizens. So we do take an interest in that jurisdiction as well. So you're both running for seat 4. So, and these are the 2 candidates that have been announced so far for seat 4. So this is your choice today between the 2 that you'll be hearing. And this will be wrapping up our candidacies. First, if I could call up, just in alphabetical order. Well, it depends on whether, now the last name, you don't look at the second hyphenated last name. You look at the first hyphenated last name. So I'll call up Elaine Allen Emrich, running for Northport City Commission.
Hi, everyone. My name's Elaine, and I moved to Northport in 1989. I was 19 years old and enrolled at Manatee Community College, which we all know that's not the name of it anymore. And I had walked into the local newspaper and said, please give me a job. And I started out as an intern for the Northport Times, which turned into the Daily Sun. So I worked there for 35 years. So as a newspaper reporter in the South County area, I've written about the 2050 plan, constant flooding, quality of life issues. I've also watched Northport go from a town where our tree lady, Alice White, chained herself to trees as Walmart was being built, to a division now that does do environmental protection through the tree fund, which is kind of neat. If you're gonna mitigate, at least you should pay for it. Trees should be replanted in our city, and the developer should actually pay for that. And it's working throughout the city. I've also written not too long ago about the Buc-ee's that's being proposed down in Charlotte County. And surface reporting just kind of tells you it's coming. But what I wanted to know was, tell me a little bit more about the environment, the habitat that's going to be disturbed. And they do have to relocate some tortoises, they do have to preserve wetlands, or it doesn't happen. So I'm very happy that governments are really trying to ensure that that habitat that we see along I-75, that the that it's obviously going to be disturbed, but they're putting provisions on it that will do some form of protection inland. And I'm also kind of sort of no stranger to developers being angry at me. Real quick, I gotta tell you, over in Boca Royale, there was a woman who had fallen into the water, and presumably she drowned. But two alligators kind of propped her up. There was a man who saw it, and he called 911. This man had a heart attack as he ran to try to save her. And so I wrote the initial story, but the follow-up story was really about the residents. All these residents wanted were signs with alligators on them that said, please beware. For any of the guests that they had had coming through Boca Royale, if they're walking their dog, they just wanted signs. And the development wouldn't allow it. So I just kept writing about it because, it is about the people who live there having their say. And a little bit more about the people having a say. What amazes me is for the last 17 years, I've been able to go with the Northport City Commissioners to Tallahassee to meet with lawmakers. And they don't ever kind of complain enough about things like the Senate Bill 180 that does tie their hands, that does take away local control. And I know it's a nicety when you go up there and you address them, but they really should be asking, why are you taking away our home rule? And as a reporter, I wrote about the city of Punta Gorda. They repealed their ULDC code. They're getting sued by two developers, but they wanted local control back. It's going to cost them a lot of money, and it's unfair, but we have to get the state to stop this. Thank you all very, very much.
All right, and then our final candidate today, also for Northport City Commission, seat 4, and I hope I pronounced this correctly. I did that in the hallway, practicing it, Ludmila Donchik. And I'm sorry, your lovely husband is here too.
Thank you so much. My name is Ludmila Dunchik, and just as Mr. Lobeck said, I am running for Northport City Commissioner, District 4. A little bit about me. I am a wife and a mom. My husband is here with me, and together we have 3 children. And I have, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. A little bit about my background. I have a degree in paralegal studies, and I have a degree in interdisciplinary education with experience in both of the areas. And what inspired me to run for city commission and get involved is last year when we attended a Charlie Kirk event in Tampa. And I just knew that I was involved in the community, but not in this area. And I wanted to step in and not just be a person who complains on the sidelines, but to do something about it. Because when we step in and do something, that's when we really learn about the issues and what really matters. I have lived in the city of Northport for the past 25 years, and I love the beauty and the space that we have there. And I love that the city of Northport is a more laid-back city. It's not a busy Sarasota town like you have. And I love the character of our town. But over the last few years, and I've lived there for 25 years, but over the last few years, the growth has really exploded, and especially with the recent rezoning that they did in 2024, there has been so much happening all at once that I and many of the other residents, we have concerns. We have concerns about the traffic that is on our streets. We have concerns about our schools that are getting overcrowded. We have concerns about the drainage system that did not work during the hurricane, the last few hurricanes, and we all kind of were private owners of islands. I have concerns about the beauty and the wildlife that is slowly going away and being destroyed and replaced with buildings. And while I am excited and I have been blessed by growth that has happened in our city, and we no longer have to drive to Venice or Port Charlotte to do our grocery run, I am concerned that in the pace that it's going and with the issues that are there, we're gonna change what Northport really is. And once that's changed, we cannot bring it back. And so I want to be a voice for our community, and I want to really bring up the important issues that I believe keep Northport what it is. Thank you so much for your time, and I love to get to know you.
Thank you very much. So those are our candidates, and let's give a good round of applause for these candidates. Thank you for serving. And so we're on schedule, but it doesn't give me any time to ramble on. But there is one thing I do want to do, and that is recognize our board of directors. Let me re-elect, if you so choose, the members here, our board. I want to in particular thank the person that does this for us every year, and she thought she could get out of it completely. I don't see her here. Maybe she's in the hallway. She typically avoids the spotlight, but Mary Ann Gentile. And want to thank a person who took a lot of the weight off Mary Ann in terms of compiling the list with her and so forth. One of our board members also, Monica Balicki. Let me place into, and also I thought we'd have time for this, for a Siesta Key update, but we will not, because I want to try to get you out of here by 2 and have plenty of time for just the wonderful presentation you're going to be hearing from our heroes, which we will have. In lieu of Siesta Key update, and that's not from Frank, who's the president of the Siesta Key Condo Council. Thank you for being here. But I do want to recognize as one of our past recipients, I think twice maybe, of Citizen of the Year, just an incredible, effective advocate for the people of Siesta Key and beyond, Lourdes Ramirez. And if I could, and as I state your name, these are our current directors. I don't think I introduced myself. I'm Dan Lobeck, the president. So I placed my name reluctantly in the nomination. But if you could stand, Mike Lachey, our vice president. Glenna Blomquist, our secretary treasurer. And our webmaster, for those of you who've been enjoying our website, .org. Control wrote that up. Monica, you met? Where'd Monica? Valerie Bouchand. Cheryl Cook. Victor Doblin. And Mary Ann Gentile. Is there a second to that nomination from and as far as the voting, most of you are not members now, you should be. And we welcome the opportunity, but if you're a member from last year, that's still good until April 1st, that's our renewal date, or if you've signed up since then as part of this effort, and we will be starting our membership drive now that we're getting past this luncheon, so you'll probably hear from us with another annoying email about that, but Could I have a second from one of our current members of the organization? Second, are there any other candidates? Oh, and let me say this, it doesn't have to be now, but we can go up to 15 board members. We have a flexible board size in our bylaws, so if you'd like to contribute more to the organization, be an active leader, we welcome that, and let us know. In fact, I'll entertain any volunteers now for our board, honestly, open. Okay, we just meet once a month by Zoom. Anyway, you'll have future opportunities. I'll send something. I know I'm putting you on the spot. So seeing that, I'll declare nominations closed. All in favor of re-electing the current board, please say aye. Aye. Oh, a lot of you. Good. Those opposed, say nay. Well, thank you. Appreciate the confidence. All right, now moving into the highlight of our program. Oh, and let me say this too. T-shirts. You see some of our members have T-shirts, $15, all sizes. We're about to run out of small. My size, extra large, there's plenty of those. But I'm not looking at anybody in particular, but $15 a shot. See Mike if you'd like a T-shirt. We've sold a number today, we have before. You may have seen on our website, 3 of our members, Cheryl and Monica and Victor, wearing our T-shirts at the legislative delegation meeting and speaking in favor of repealing Senate Bill 180. Let me just really quickly tell you that that was a law in 2025 by our state representative, and who is standing for re-election and hasn't responded to our invitation to come here with Fiona McFarland and defend it, but it prohibits city and county governments from passing anything which would increase restrictions or burdens on developers. How many of you think that's a great idea? Even a tolerable idea? Nobody does. But those who do have a lot of money. And apparently they're not here. Pat Neal, Carlos Brew, Randy Benson, etc. She did not sign, even though she said maybe that wasn't a great idea, after everybody in the world was piling on about how an awful idea it was, but she didn't file a House bill for the repeal. So it passed the repeal effectively, another bill, passed in the Senate, came over to the House, and then the House leadership refused to let it be heard because it had to pass out of the House committee. Nobody's running against her right now. It probably will be decided in the Republican primary, so if you're a Republican in Fiona McFarland's district, please think about running. Just unbelievable. And there's other legislators who need to answer for that as well. Just to update you on that. But I mentioned that in the context of T-shirts because I had 3 great directors that were there in T-shirts, wore them and spoke. So it was great visibility for the organization. So we do what we can, but it's challenging. So anyway, without further ado, we have, like I said, every year we make a presentation, a recognition of people that have gone above and beyond in favor of integrity and good public policy within Sarasota County and its cities. And this year, we had sort of offered this before, and for various reasons, that they could not do it, but finally they agreed, humble as they are, to accept this recognition today. So Kelly Franklin and Ron Cashton are a married couple, and I have to say this, they're obviously a very committed married couple, as you can see from the photographs we published together in a canoe and so forth. But now they're stuck with each other because who's going to split? Who's going to split this beautiful plaque that has both names on it? So, in the interest of good marriage, we're trying to help out. But what great people, and what an example to look up to give back to the extent that we're able. So they're park people. They have worked very hard on behalf of our green spaces and our parks. Kelly, in particular, you know, is taken, actually together, they've taken a lead to preserve Payne Park, Bobby Jones Golf Course, to expand that into a very beautiful functional nature preserve. Spoke out against commercialization at Paul Thorpe Park and Thompson Park, St. Armand's been here for a while, I say it, Circle Park, and emphasizing the green spaces are essential to urban livability. Ron is retired in financial technology as an executive, as a CPA, and has been able to, and this is the great thing about teamwork, you know, he's been able to bring his analytical perspective, his ability to work with figures, understand the reality behind attempts to mischaracterize things that can be disproven with math. And Kelly is a former publishing executive, which I never heard her comment on this, but it's so appropriate considering she's a descendant of Benjamin Franklin, who, as we know, was a notable publisher in his own right. And so she's great on design, as well as other aspects of civic leadership, guided neighborhood discussions on zoning, infill, and tree protection. She gets downright angry when there's a very valuable heritage oak or other trees that deserve to live that are cut down in the name of development, or just stupidity on the part of city staff. City staff, by the way, in Sarasota is a big problem. And I hope the new city manager is going to come to grips with that. Sometimes city commissioners can have the best view on what needs to be done, but the city staff, you know, runs with a bad policy like a dog with their favorite bone. And the dog analogy is the dog tail wags the dog. And there's been a lot of pushback by Kelly and Ron in that respect. Even one time when, fortunately I can add the word former to it, former city manager conspired with one of the city commissioners to outrageously defame Kelly at a public meeting and put up a Facebook post that was totally manufactured, that was blatantly racist, which was not on her Facebook page. There were pictures of gorillas she took in a tour of Africa, and then added things on it that suggested that one of the city commissioners happened to be African American, is among the figures in this thing, and you know, outrageous. And turned out the court said that a city commissioner can libel and slander somebody, one of their citizens, and get away with it. Awful law. And they're refusing now to correct the minutes that perpetuate that defamation. Anyway, I'll go off on a rant because that particularly bothered me. So one of the things they've been active on too is opposing this crazy idea to effectively destroy the Van Wezel. And they say they're going to keep it because there was such pushback that they engendered, but they want to keep it by tearing out everything but 500 seats, which is going to inevitably lead to its demolition, and then replace it with a new performing arts center, who nobody supports, but a handful of influential elites, at a cost of $200 million from charitable donations that the city doesn't have and never will see after they start building this darn thing. And also, when the final pad comes in, maybe $100 million of taxpayer money for property taxes, sales taxes, that they don't have either. And fortunately, the Sarasota County Commission has bailed on this, but it's still on life support. So these two are still fighting hard. And I'm proud to say Control Growth Now was an early leader against this, and use some of this Bayfront money for a parking garage to replace the parking lot and keep the Van Wezel. It's a wonderful facility. And go to their website. I can talk about this in time we don't have. But they have a website. What's the website on this fact? KeepTheVanWezel.com. So please check that out. It's still a live issue. So anyway, so I could go on with other things, but you know what they have done is demonstrate the very best of Sarasota's civic spirit, a shared belief in community, in heritage, and the power of active citizenship to shape a brighter and more livable future for all. I'm very pleased to call up and ask them to accept the Control Growth Now Award of Citizens of the Year for 2026, Kelly Franklin and Ron Nobody has cameras nowadays, do you? Okay. I understand. Yes. I can feel my glasses.
Yeah, it's gotta look good. Ron.
Thank you, Cal. Thank you, Ron. Floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Dan and Dawn. Thank you, Control Growth Now. On behalf of Kelly and I, we are truly honored about having this award. Control Growth Now means a lot to us. And what we thought, rather than giving a traditional speech, because graphics were such a big part of our activism, we wanted to give you kind of a visual tour of our activism throughout the years. So with that,
It's kind of a show and tell. And I was shocked today when my trapeze teacher, Tito Guyona, and his wife showed up. I haven't seen Tito in a few years, but he was the longtime star of Ringling Circus. And he taught down in Venice, and his autobiography is called Born to Fly. I was not born to fly. Tito tried really hard. I had a wonderful time, and I learned that having fun is what makes the journey worth it. And this has been a long journey of civic activism in Sarasota. Dan's wrong that I never talk about my relationship to my relation, Ben Franklin. In fact, that's my narrative inheritance. If he was born to fly, I was born to edit, to publish, and apparently to use satire, because one of Ben's claims to fame is publishing the first cartoon in North America. It was obviously at the time of the Revolution, and it said we had to join together as colonies and fight against tyranny. And there's a lot that's still true today, including the fact that satire, because it combines fact and speaks to emotion, is the most effective form of communication. It's the most effective form of activism. It's the most effective form of issue education in a time when there's so much going on and so much noise, that being able to distill both the facts at hand and the feelings about what that does to our world is the key to the times we've been successful in our activism and the times we haven't. Well, we've at least had fun. So we're going to try to talk you through some of this. Picking up on Ben's model, and again, his brother James Franklin published the first newspaper in America. I was in print publishing and book publishing, and then I worked for Thomson Reuters for a while, handling digital communications. And I brought all of those skills to bear for an organization called CityPack that did a newsletter covering city hall policies and decision making. It was its own kind of circus. But to try to distill what was going on into an easy to digest format for busy residents, we came up with a scoring system that was based on, we thought it was fairly innocuous, clouds and suns. You would not believe the lobbying that some of the members of the CityPack Advisory Board got if they awarded a cloud to someone. They wanted to know the exact metric for why, what they could do and change to do differently. Some of them didn't give a damn at all. But in any event, it was an effective form of communication, so effective that some people felt the need to attack the messenger. It's hard to explain places over time. Different people, You know, the same piece of property, but different people have lived here. So the first civic fight we got involved in was really Payne Park, when the orchestra said they wanted to build there. Their main donor said, we're not gonna give you money to build $100 million worth of new structure on this vulnerable spot by the bay where there's no parking. If you're gonna build a new orchestra hall, it should be off the bay. So the orchestra, not knowing our history, said, oh, look at that vast expanse of land right in the middle of the city, we'll take it. 500 residents. It didn't include Ron and I because we were on a boat in Alaska. But 500 residents showed up at City Hall and said, no, you won't. Because there's a deed protecting this park. The people that gave this park to the citizens of the city of Sarasota said it was to be used for a park, a playground, and no other purpose. And it took the city 90 years to keep that promise. They used it as a trailer park when the circus was based in Sarasota. They used it as a ballpark. They tried to use it as a parking lot for a while, everything but a park. And it finally became a park, and then somebody wanted to take it away. But that long history was hard to convey, even with the chart we tried to show you. So Ron distilled it even further. This was a photo that we used actually in his campaign. This artwork is called Community Figures. And sometimes a picture speaks louder than words. But sometimes you need to leave stuff on the editing floor. My take on this fight was a squirrel and a picture of Ron as a servant leader. Ron's take on this fight was him showing Joe McKenna, the head of the orchestra, strangling the ducks, breaking a tennis racket, and over here is a skateboard he was breaking. And I said, no, I'm going to put on my editing hat. This is not going to make the campaign.
So you are the first to see this in public. It has never appeared prior to our. But there are times that neither of us are edited. And this comes down to when we were advocating against Hagen Brody, who was a very aggressive commissioner in the city. And in 2020, we came up with the face mask called Stifle, which you can still buy today on the internet. There's a picture of Hagen Brody with the tennis racket. And if you want to keep more than the virus away from your face, you can use the Stifle face mask.
This ad got me banned from Facebook. I still can't do advertising on Facebook. I was trying to sell this face.
But urban myths also become a big part of our advocacy. And Kelly had used a kind of a Paul Bunyan rampaging through the forest to go to advocate against Hagen Brody. And to get the full effect of this, on the internet, it had the sound of chainsaws. Whenever you saw Hagen appear, there was also a chainsaw. So this is when graphics really did help the campaign.
It wasn't a very successful campaign. I did have Hagen Brody's mom yelling at me on Facebook. That was kind of fun. But again, when you talk in abstracts, it doesn't penetrate. Selby just clear-cut 4 acres for no reason to add 2,000 extra square feet of storage-like space to replace their current greenhouses. It was an active destruction of convenience. And it was hard to convey that even when I tried to look at the maps of all the X's of the trees needlessly being killed. Even when I tried to do a count of here are the 18 protected grand live oaks they're killing for walking paths because they wanted to be symmetrical on a picture. And that doesn't, it's too much data for people to take in. It's too hard to find. So we communicated that or tried to with an actual interactive video game that you can access at keepcanopy.com. My best time was 27 seconds. And this really does show what they just clear cut. There's almost no trees left at Selby. But you can go play the game, and in 26 seconds, you too can clear cut a beautiful, protected piece of nature And you'll see at the end, there's a trademark infringement. We've got Seymour from the Little House, or Little Shop of Horrors. We'll bring you, if you can beat my time. 26 seconds, keepcanopy.com. Again, trying to explain places and time, particularly if people don't want to listen. There's a handful of people that can't admit they were wrong, that don't want to know the history, that don't know we started talking about this new building at the bayfront when the orchestra was talking about moving off the bay, and that we have never ever had a need to replace the Van Wezel because it's one of the best touring theaters for Broadway in the world. It's our iconic symbol of our city. There's no reason at all, and never has been, to replace it as a theater. We could use a concert hall, but that's not what we're talking about. But no amount of expert research, no amount of data, there's a whole website filled with reports that the city's commissioned, that they've spent hundreds of thousands of our dollars on, saying we don't need to replace this building. And a handful of loud voices that control the mainstream press don't seem to want to let this thing die, because it would mean admitting a mistake or something. So we tried to convey that data. Again, the dense data, there's a whole website, all the reports, none of that penetrates. So you've got to go for the hearts as well as the minds. This was my most fun Freedom of Information Act request of the city, was for the name and whereabouts of this cow. As it turns out, the head of the Van Wezel had purchased this at, maybe it was Circus Sarasota when it was there as a secondhand shop, and had kids repaint it. And the Van Wezel staff used to move it around the building, and when kids came to visit, they played hide and go seek looking for the cow. And when Carrie Seidman said, "Where's that cow and what was its name?" the Van Wezel staff said, "We don't know." So I did a FOIA, and I said, "What happened to the cow and what's its name?" And they came back and they said they left the cow out in the rain, they hadn't sealed it, and it rusted and rotted and they threw it away. And I'm like, well, there's a metaphor there. Then they said they didn't remember its name. So I looked back at their Facebook page where a year earlier they had talked about Petunia. So the cow's name was Petunia, but in the interim, Ron and I renamed it in memoriam Shelley McMoo. This is all that's left of Shelley McMoo. Aha. Well, there's people in this room I fought with about this, and there's people in this room who fought on my side of this, and we're still fighting this fight. Sarasota has fought about art since the inception. This particular statue was objected to on many grounds by many different people, some because it's not original art, some, like me, because it's a copyright infringement, and we're legally not allowed to credit Alfred Eisenstadt in any way. So the sign that stands by the statue doesn't mention the name of the artist that the statue is based on, by contract. The former mayor, Kelly Kirshner, and I painted a satirical square in Burns Square. He was one of the decisive votes for accepting the statue when it was debated 20 years ago. And then he worked with me to paint this image, which Ron commissioned. So it's a work for hire, it's not copyrightable, and it was satirical. And it was to be reimagining what that incident might be like today. It got worn out by tires. And then the person who put together that gallery, that walk through Sarasota's history that wasn't Burns Square, commissioned somebody new to do another take on that same statue. And it's a beautiful portrait of the statue, and you'll see off to one side there's two women glaring at it, and off to the other is two men looking up lovingly at it. And to me, that's so much more powerful than any of the original imagery, because it says for that particular piece of art, we're all the authors, we're all writing our own stories into it. And the story of its erasure maybe could help us figure out how to solve our problem of we just erased our history. If my piece can be erased and something better can come back, my hope is the city will work with the artists to bring back our history there in yet a new way.
So a lot of people in this room know the Palm Apartments. Control Growth Now, we're really involved with this, with the destruction of the Palm Apartments. But at the same time, the city was having a logo contest of what would be the new logo for the city. And the contest opened at 5 a.m. And at 5:15, I created this logo, which translates to Hello Satan. And it's got a bulldozer with a pile of money. At 5:30, the contest rules were changed. So it was brought up about Ken Thompson Park. Ken Thompson Park, for the people that don't know about it, a commercial developer came to the city to offer that they were going to take over parkland and create an amusement park in essence. And I thought, if anyone can come over and take government land and make an amusement park, I would go down to City Hall and propose putting a water slide on top of City Hall. Because it was all the same way. So indeed, I went down to City Hall and proposed that I would double, our consortium would double the typical city lease from $1 to $2. The developer also only included pictures, beautiful pictures of kids in an amusement park. So I said, if pictures is all that matters, here's a basket of puppies. Everyone loves puppies. Don't approve this. So the people that have been involved with workforce, affordable, and attainable housing know the word games that are played about that. This graphic was particularly important and particularly useful to show that when you have attainable housing, it doesn't serve the workforce that you thought it did. And in this simple graphic, we were able to show the audience that you want to subsidize simply can't afford the house.
This debate, I think, is happening again on Monday, although it's been going on for literally years. I remember in 2020, it was a big topic in the city commission race, was our noise problem. And the fundamental problem in Sarasota is that our noise decibel level limit is set too high to be meaningful. Ron once called the police when the concrete crusher that he's been fighting was operating on a Saturday morning. And they found out that when the police went out and took a reading, they found out that even that concrete crusher right next to it wasn't louder than our 75 decibels. And it doesn't sound that loud. People don't understand, because it seems like it's only 10 levels louder, how loud 75 decibels is, but it's loud, and we'll get to that in a minute. But downtown, we've been having events permitted outside in the most dense areas where they're building all these condos with thousands of new residents. We've had event after event after event approved for outdoor bands up to 100 decibels right below where people live. And a lot of these events are sponsored by commercial bars that are using liquor licenses meant for nonprofits. And they're closing streets, public streets, to have basically alcohol-fueled dance parties in the streets, which is something that started during COVID, and we all needed places to get out and convene. But most cities rolled back on that when the situations changed, not ours. We've doubled down. But hearing this abstractly, and it's been discussed in the press for years, people just fight at each other, oh, you're entitled and mean old people and you shouldn't have peace and quiet in your home is what comes back. You gotta fight that with data. And so we got all of the permits, and this is detailed data gone through hundreds of disorganized permits over years to say, what's really going on? Is they're closing this one street, Plum Avenue, for 13 events, sometimes spanning 2 or 3 nights. So a third of the time, sometimes during season, you might not be able to even get to your condo because of these commercial events. So it's, again, taking this kind of data out in the world and making it actionable information and digestible in a glance. And this was, again, back to the noise issue, that's part and parcel of the events issue. but really trying to understand what's the problem with Sarasota, because we've heard complaints, whether it's car noise, or it's Lido parties, or it's these street parties. It's everywhere from around the city, and there's a reason for that, and it's because we're such an outlier. When you look at our decibel level compared to cities like Miami, or Orlando, or St. Pete, or even party capitals like Fort Lauderdale, we're twice as loud. That's our limit, and that's why we haven't been able to get a grip on it, because our basic regulation isn't correct.
So with this was a great graphic to show what seems to be a local problem. You had heard about this concrete crushing facility in downtown Sarasota, and it's in a neighborhood called Central Coconut. So a lot of the city residents thought that this was just a localized problem for Central Coconut. This one graphic shows that just on a light breezy day, that concrete dust, which is toxic, floats throughout all of downtown. And on a windy day, it covers the entire city. So this was a very important graphic for our advocacy, just to show, how many people are impacted and the effects of that. And finally, one of a family favorites and one of our first ones, Red Tide. If many of you remember, there was a proposed offshore fish farm off the shore of Sarasota. And trying to explain to people the combination of phosphorus and nitrogen and what occurs and creates fertilizer, it's just too hard to do in an elevator pitch. So of course we came off with an outhouse out in the bay, because people could understand an outhouse leading to red tide all along the water. That's something they care about. And this is a metaphor really for what you can do in the neighborhood, in the community. We are still swimming in issues that still need to be tackled these days. After all of what everyone in this room has done, there's more to do. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, Controller.
Thank you for all you do. Thanks for hanging in there and welcoming. Great presentation. And we are adjourned. JoinControlGrowthNow.org.